Tell us what they are.
First, I'd like to address the point of view that he brought up. Did you know that Gateway is actually the first large PC maker? We're talking about a decade ago. Gateway has been an innovator. At that time, they were on the forefront of innovations. They offered their first branded internet service. They were also the first company to actually make the CD-ROM standard. The first to have a fax modem. The first to have a 17-inch monitor, a sound card, and even come loaded with internet service. So they were actually developing a mystique, and those familiar with the Harley-Davidson case know what that's about. When you do advertising and you start, the brand starts to be seen as odd, quirky, almost counterintuitive. And they were starting to develop that. But unfortunately, the CEO made some tough choices, and they didn't end up in favor of the company as a whole. So I wanted to first address that.
Also, remember that the Apple Store concept was the main idea for Gateway. That was what they were trying to achieve. Because by having the technical support and by having people with experience inside the store, then that could give advice, that could give tips, demonstrations how to use the product, that creates a relationship with the customer. And that's part of the culture, that's part of being there and being able to go inside. And remember that at this point, one of the failures for Gateway was the price war that they entered with Dell. And in 2002, the company couldn't cut prices enough in order to compete, and they were rapidly losing market share. But if they would have nurtured the store concept, then once you get people coming in, Dell could not match the experience that you were going to be able to get with Gateway, because they had no presence, they had no physical contact with the customer, only phone and internet.
And also a big target market for the country stores were people that were just starting to learn how to use computers. And that was important because we were able, at the stores, they were able to add a lot of value services, showing the customer how to use it properly. Most people, I mean, nowadays it's changed, but back then people didn't buy a computer online. They wanted someone to teach them, hey, how do you use this? What's the mouse for? How to work Windows? So that's why the country stores were so important, because it was that face-to-face person that was helping you out. And later on, they changed that. They were outsourcing to India. They were talking to someone halfway across the world. So their strategy changed, and that's why the country stores were so important. And you're not going to convince me that it was a bad idea.
You want to try?
Okay, you said that they should have nurtured their stores more, except this guy basically poured tons of money into these stores. He put in $35 million just to rejuvenate or restore these Gateway country stores. So how much more nurturing do you want? Also, you said that they wouldn't buy the computers online, except at first that's what they would do. They would put them out, they would buy them online or through call centers. So really, yeah, it's a good idea for the customers to come in and try out the product. However, as you can see, it wasn't really that big of a demand because everybody still went to Apple and they weren't teaching them how to use these computers. They have manuals for that.
According to analyst Brooks Gregg from Technology Business Research, there's been a major push over the time for consumer electronics that have been driving people to seek buying advice in stores. What's the reason for that? Look at all the choices that we have. It's easy for someone that's just buying a computer to be confused. How do you know which one to buy? Who's going to read a manual? How many of you guys have actually read your manual from front cover to back cover? No one. That one person with a lot of time on their hands. That's why it's so important to have someone that's actually going to coach you, someone that you can build a relationship with, that's going to come back month after month, year after year, and it's going to build that relationship where you're going to want to know what's next, what's coming up, what's going to help me, what tools are going to help me expand my business or become a better student. So these stores were very, very important to the overall success. But yes, money was invested, and I agree. I mean, it was money was put into it. I mean, that's a fact, but it was a dumb move. as far as to what it was invested in. It was invested in refurnishing stores. Wow, great idea. No, it's not a great idea. That money could have been better used towards advertising, towards a good marketing campaign, a strategic marketing campaign that would get people into the store. What's the point of having a nice looking store if no one's in there looking at the products? Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
One more thing.
Hold on, hold on. One sec, real quick, and then you guys.
Just wanted to point out, remember that it was Apple who imitated Gables, not the other way around. Apple introduced his first stores in 2001. Okay? That's 5 years after Gables.
Okay.
You mentioned that Gateway was developing a cult following, a mystique. That's not what was happening. They invested the $35 million in order to develop people to follow them. That's what they used to renovate their stores. They got rid of their image, the cow print from the boxes.
Okay, what about the point of the money was kind of misspent? Instead of refurbishing or redecorating the stores, they should have had a marketing campaign where they were driving people to the stores who were going to buy the product.
They didn't spend the 35 million on just new desks and new swivel chairs for the stores. It was basically to give the store a new image. So that was really what they were trying to do. It wasn't, oh, come in and check out our new desks. It was come in and see our products and test it out, and you can see exactly what it is that we're about.
Okay, so you think the money spent on rebranding or the whole image stuff was money well spent?
Sort of, but months later, it was wasted money because the stores ended up being shut down completely, all of them. So 35 million that could have been spent on their product instead of the stores and everything.
Okay, a couple questions over there and then the TA next.
Do you believe that it kind of ties into the last debate? The Gateway had a very strong aggressive competitive growth strategy as far as opening those stores so early. Do you think that if they would have held off for 5 years and invested that money into their products and then started opening stores, they would have gotten a lot better result?
And once again, thank you for bringing it up. She makes a good point that the idea of the store was a good idea, but once again, mistakes made by management. The timing was off. It was off. And yes, if they would have waited a little bit longer, they would have spent more money on their innovation and actually have a strategic plan on how we're going to do this. But they jumped in it too quickly, and because of that, they paid dearly.
She asked the question.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Good question.
Did you want to respond?
Gateway's main competitors at the moment were Dell, IBM, Hewlett-Packard, none of which had stores. All of them sold through the direct model, which was to customers online, customer service, and to the phone. Gateway failed by opening the stores. Their revenue was saturated by the overhead costs of renovating the store and maintaining it.
Okay, so all the competitors were doing the online thing when you had a store. So why do you think that it made sense to pour all this money into a store when nobody was doing it?
It was a new idea, it was innovative. The pioneers of mail and order computers, gateways, so everybody else followed that trend. They were trying to create a trend. Apple followed, Apple succeeded.
But the stores were losing money, tons of money, okay? At some point, don't you think the investors are gonna say, well, hey, we're not in this for the fun of it, we want to return on our investment.
You also have to keep in mind companies have to spend in infrastructure. They might have precipitated their investment. They might have used too much of their assets too early. But obviously they were looking at the future of what the future of computers was going to be like, and buying computers and integrating that into peripherals and all of that. And that's obvious by the fact that today Apple Computer succeeds, and every time they have a brand new product, they make people come into the store, try it out,